What's up everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been quite a while since I've posted anything, but I have recorded a whole ton of stuff coming out this year, and I did take a bit of a break last year. I had a very unexpected tragedy where my dog that my girlfriend and I adopted ended up passing away very suddenly and very unexpectedly. In between that time and healing, my girlfriend and I ended up getting a puppy because our house was just equipped for a dog, and that's where it's been the last few months. I've been just dealing with that, and it's a lot of work, but a lot of fun work, and I'm really ready to jump into the new year with a ton of new stuff. And I really wanted to kick that off by reviewing the brand new, or should I say upgraded, Kodak H35, which is the Kodak H35N, and this is a half frame camera. Before we get into the review, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Eric. I'm a professional photographer that is based out of San Francisco. I love shooting film, reviewing film, and shooting tons of film cameras. And if you're into that, subscribe to this channel, and also please give this video a like so I can start growing this channel and start supporting my passion a lot easier and hopefully a little bit better in the coming future. So let's jump right into the review. This right here is the upgraded H35, and this is the Kodak H35N, which is essentially part of Kodak's half frame cameras. For those of you that have no idea what a half frame camera is, what this does is take your standard 35mm frame that looks like this and essentially divides it to look like this. It is the most economical film camera that you can own because it literally doubles your film. You can go from 24 exposures to 48 and from 36 exposures to 72. And it's the perfect all-around camera to take and just document things without having to really worry about going through so much film all the time or periodically, especially with the rising costs of film. It's just probably one of the most economical cameras you can get. This one right here is actually not too bad. I managed to shoot just around 3 rolls through it, and I was actually pretty impressed with the image quality that came out of this. Keep in mind, it's not going to be the most professional looking camera, and that's not what this camera is intended for those of you that are wanting to purchase it for that. This is more of a fun camera to take and, you know, just have a little bit more of creative freedom and just be able to take some pretty awesome pictures throughout your entire day. This camera will set you back $65 US, which is a bit steep, but for the most part, it gives you a pretty decent bang for your buck. So let's start going over some of the features that have been upgraded on this camera, starting off with the lens. What Kodak did in this camera is they actually upgraded the lens from the original Kodak H35, and what they did on this one is they made a very interesting blend of both glass and plastic, as well as a coating that's over the lens to essentially improve the sharpness of your images. And I will tell you now, it's not very sharp, but they're very usable images, if that makes any sense. For example, we'll take a look at this image here. You will still see some softening occurring at the edges of the film. A lot of these plastic point and shoot cameras have a plastic lens, and that's what leads to this effect. They're very heavy focused in the center, and as you start diffusing towards the edges, you will see things starting to soften out. Like on this one here, you can see the branches that it's very blurry, and also the crows in there are kind of, you can't really distinguish what they are unless you really squint and see. But it's not, again, it's not going to give you the sharpest, but it is definitely an improvement from some of the other point and shoots that I have shot. The other thing that Kodak added to this camera is a brand new shutter release cable option that allows you to essentially put a shutter release cable to the top of the camera, allowing you to shoot in bulb mode, which is really awesome. I think cameras that are starting to switch this, it's pretty cool. I really appreciate that they would have this added in here, you know, for extra creative abilities. You can take night pictures or even day pictures, and maybe even shoot lower ISO film through this and just have a lot of fun. I did not try this feature out. I don't see me shooting this camera at night, but if you are into that, it does have the ability to do that, which is pretty cool. The next thing they added to this is a brand new filter on the front of the camera that does a pretty unique thing, and that is turn any of your bright lights or any type of bright areas of your film into this little star effect, And if you're wondering what that looks like, I was actually able to capture one really great in this image here. This one had a bit of a sun ray hitting the window. I activated that, and you can see that it creates a very interesting star filter, and it's a pretty interesting filter to use. Personally, I wouldn't use this filter at all. It's not really my style, and nor would I ever really put this in any type of my work, but I was actually happy with this image, and I probably am going to print this out at some point or another. But it does have that option on the front. You can easily turn it on and off via this little lever that's on the front here, and it makes it a very interesting filter to have when you see a lot of bright areas in your film and you want to maybe increase the creativity. You have that option that's there. The next thing that Kodak did was they kept the internal flash in here, which is great. I love when cameras keep this option in. It's controlled via a AAA battery that goes on the bottom, and you can easily turn the flash on and off by twisting the lens. And that's always great. It's always the worst when when you cannot turn off the flash and it goes off when you're out in the world. That's probably the most frustrating thing that can happen. This camera will prevent that from occurring since you can turn that on and off. The lens, the overall viewfinder is great, very clear, and it does have an f/22. It does have an f/22 aperture and a 22mm lens, which is really great. It means it gives you a very wide angle, and that's something that's really, really nice to have, especially when you're doing street photography or any type of day-to-day activities. I think that's always a really great thing for the camera to have. Now, let's talk about the overall quality of this camera, which I think is a little bit of a concern. I will say this right now, this camera feels really, really cheap, and it doesn't feel like it's going to last very long, to be 100% honest. I actually did drop the camera and did some pretty significant damage to it, but surprisingly, it still works, and that's always great to see. But I will be very honest, I can compare this camera very close to the quality build of the Rito Ultra Wide and Slim. Now, this camera is not a half frame camera, but it is a 35mm film camera, and I can compare about the same weight and about the same image quality, which is obviously a bit of a concern. Paying $65 for a camera that can easily break when dropped is something that is a bit of a frustrating thing. So if you are gonna buy this camera, keep in mind the build quality is not there. It's not a very sturdy camera, and it feels very, very cheap in your hands. It definitely feels like you're holding a $2 camera that you find at the thrift shop. I think the reason this camera is a little more expensive than the other 35mm cameras is because it's a specialty half frame camera, and it's definitely going to be marketed a little bit higher. Generally, I'm gonna say it now, I was happy with the camera. I'm not disappointed in any way. I did like the image quality. There were some interesting things that occur when you shoot this camera, like this image here, where just strange things happen. Even though I was standing completely still, you can see that there's a weird effect that occurred on one image and one that looks okay. And then other times where I was standing completely still and the images came out incredibly blurry, like this one here. Yeah, I would definitely keep this camera. It does come in a variety of different colors you can choose from. I chose the green one because I just thought it looked really cool, a little retro. And for the most part, it did what it did. It's a very nice creative camera to have in my collection, and I'm definitely going to be using this in the future for, you know, things that I might be doing that's not too serious, maybe more on the creative end, maybe just sticking this in my camera bag if I want to snap pictures of things very quickly. But I did shoot this camera, and I did want to show that video with you, which is going to happen now. I did just walk around San Francisco and snap this picture, snapped a bunch of pictures, and just compiled a bit of a video so you can see what it looks like out in the world. And I also did shoot color with this, which I did not document, but I will show pictures of that as well. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you enjoyed the next part of the video where it's just me wandering around. So I appreciate all the support. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel and also give this video a like, and share this with somebody that is wanting to buy this camera. And maybe you will buy this camera, maybe you won't. I would recommend it, but for the most part, I hope you enjoy this video, and I will talk to you in the next one. See ya.